Hello, we're at our first true real assignment. Remember, I think I've said, we are scaffolding this. And the idea of learning, some of you in your careers will be teachers, and some of you will find yourself to be trainers. And there's a concept called scaffolding, where you teach some concepts and have people build things using those concepts. And sometimes they're a little bit vague, and learning is uncomfortable, but you kind of like lead them there in pieces. Now, for your final project, you're going to need 8 sources. We're probably going to have more than that, but every week you're going to be building your knowledge. This week, you're going to find 1 source. You're going to give me 3 keywords. You're going to write your first example of your thesis question, and you're going to start setting up your paper in APA style. Okay? So, what this looks like, I have an example of Module 1, and image of example is here, but I'm going to show you the PDF. I include both for you to look at. If you ever have an issue with some of the file types I have, please reach out to me and I will get you something that will work for you. I try to often give you an image, a graphic, and different things, but if I have failed you, let me know and I will work on that piece. That is not what I wanted to come up. So give me a second. You're going to set up your paper with 1-inch margins. You will choose to use the following 2 fonts and only 12-point size. Choose New Times Roman or choose Arial. Your paper every week will look like this. In my instructions, I will tell you what to name the file. This might give you some encouragement in the future when you're building projects on how to organize them. Now, I'll need your name. I want you to say Annotated Bibliography and Process, Lib 101- and the module number of the piece. Here, I want you to do a thesis question. I want you to go ahead and write it. We're writing about COVID, but what part of COVID might you write about? This may not be right this week. You may fumble a little. You may change your mind. I encourage you just to go ahead and start. There is no right and wrong in this. I might ask you to relook at something, narrow it down further, because something like COVID-19 is too huge. We need something smaller. COVID-19 and K through 12 education and online learning. Something like that is fantastic. You could break it down even smaller, but it's research that you could handle because we're not working on a dissertation here. We're working on an annotated bibliography of 8 sources. And today we're finding your first source. When I say we, I mean you, but you know what I mean. You're going to find keywords. You may not know how to do that at this time, but I'm going to show you how to use PubMed because you're going to use PubMed for this. And you're going to find a scholarly article. You're going to find an article that is a research article. That means it's going to have multiple authors, usually. Mine happen to have 1, but that is unusual. You're going to find something that has multiple parts to it, as an abstract, multiple authors. We know who they are. We know who they're connected to. It's going to have an abstract, an introduction, and it's going to have a list of references. We're going to say this so many times that you're going to be able to tick this off without even thinking about it. It's going to become like breathing to you. Like when you see a certain type of format, you're like, oh, it has these pieces, this thing, and this is here. Oh, this is a certain thing. This is a newspaper article. This is a blog. This is a social media post. Things like that. So you're going to find that article and you're going to find the citation elements that go with it. Okay, right now we're looking at an author. In APA 7th edition, the authors are last name, first initials. You see the comma, you see the period. Publication dates are in parentheses, ends with a period. Titles for the journal will be the following. Nothing is capitalized except for the first word, designing, a word that follows the colon, A. And if we had here COVID-19, an acronym, or other things that were a proper noun or noun phrase, that would be capitalized too. This also ends with a period. This is the name of the journal. The journal name is always spelled out in APA. It is not abbreviated. And this is the opposite of the journal title. The journal name is in what we call title case. That means everything is capitalized except for prepositions, conjunctions, and articles. In this case, we have none of those. Everything is capitalized. It is also italicized along with a volume number. This is like one of those weirdest things that I'm going to talk about every week. The very weird why does this exist? Why? But you have to italicize the volume number. It drives everyone insane. And it survives now into APA 7th edition because I guess it's going to make it forever at this point. The issue number is put in parentheses. There's a comma. You have beginning and ending page numbers. Another way to tell if it's a scholarly research article, it has more than one page. Usually it's going to have 5 to 40 or something like that. And then when you have a choice between a digital object identifier or a URL, you'll use the digital object identifier. Now, what is that? I have a section that's going to explain that to you, but essentially, many scholarly articles and pieces will have a digital object identifier. That beep is actually the Ask a Librarian beep. If you can find that on the website, I think I showed that in the overview. I'm usually on it, so sometimes you can pop in and find me that way, or you can, if whoever answers, you go, "Is Rhonda here?" And you can also kind of reach me that way during the day, and sometimes the nights. I work to 9 o'clock on Wednesday and Thursday nights. So anyway, so back to this fascinating APA thing. This should be, for many of you, slightly terrorizing. Like, you may not feel like you can do this, but do it. I'm going to correct it. In this course, you may not get all the points the first time around. I'm not punitive. Some of you are going to get things more than others, and I'm going to work with you individually through email and through doing the task so that you pick up what you need, and it's all about you. And I hope you enjoy the process because I want you to be powerful. So I don't care how scared you are about this and how it doesn't make any sense, or you think you got it and then you get like a 50% or something like that on your assignment. That asks you to fix it if I included instructions on them fixing it. If it stresses you out, I have Zoom nights on Monday from 6 to 8. Talk to me. I will also make an appointment with you. I will also do a video just like this, just for you to go over the pieces. And the only way we learn the APA pieces is through repetition. So you'll hear me saying the same thing over and over. Last name, first initials is how we deal with authors. The publication date is in parentheses. It ends with a period. The title is, in sentence case, nothing is capitalized except for the first name, a word after the colon, and a proper noun or noun phrase. The journal name is in title case. It is almost always capitalized all the way through and also italicized along with a volume number, which never ever makes sense. But that's how it is. So when we say title case for the journal name or source, that means everything is capitalized except for the prepositions, conjunctions, and things like that. Some people call that the unimportant words, if that helps you out. Then after the volume number, right squeezed next to it is a 3. This in case is an issue number. It is followed by a colon, beginning and ending page numbers. You will need that. If they're not there, you do not use it. It doesn't have a volume, you do not use it. It doesn't have an issue number, you do not use it. You just leave these sections out. But you should have these pieces and a DOI or a URL. So I was talking about the digital object identifier. That is how that scientific information is connected and how we see who cites who, and it builds for us a scholarly footprint. And also when these things and these journals and things fail, it gives us a place and a way to locate them. So it's very important. If your piece does not have a digital object identifier, use the URL, but you only use the URL if it connects for the user. We're going to be using databases, and they have these extravagantly long URLs because you had to sign in and be authenticated to use it. In that case, you don't have a URL and you don't use the DOI. If it does connect, and most of these publications should, if they don't have a digital object identifier, they will have a URL that should connect to full text. Use that. Now, are you going to remember that today? Probably not. And we're going to talk about it every single week, okay? Until it kind of becomes second nature to you. I'm always going to be asking for a word count. I'm starting you off small. I'm asking you for 2 sentences. Might happen to be 26 words, but I want you to include the word count. I want you to see yourself building skill, and I want you to get an idea of what 300 words looks like versus 2 sentences and things like that. I want you to start to get a feel for your scholarly writing in terms of annotations. Generally, annotations in the real world when you're out there should be 150 to 300. We're going to build you up to that point each week. These will get longer. I'm also going to provide you with things to do that build the skills you need for that. Does that make sense? I hope so. So let's go to the next page. So when you're looking at the modules, the first thing you'll see is all the things you need to read, all the quizzes, and really do read them because you actually are going to use them. And it'll be immediately apparent if you didn't review a video or something like that. So now we're here, and I want you to see, this is Module 1. This is where your video will be with your assignments, and your assignment every week will look like this. I'm going to tell you to create a document. I'm going to give you a way to name the document, so when I'm grading, I don't save your work on the top of each other, and your name is really your name. Don't put your name, which somebody's going to do, but I'm not going to laugh because we've all been there. So margins 1 inch all around, font 12 point at the top of the page. I tell you how to do it. You're like, oh no, I don't understand. Go back to the example and see what it looks like. Thesis question, it tells you what I expect. Keywords, it tells you what I expect. Scholarly article, it tells you what I expect. I want you to view this video. I want to make sure it's full text. I want you to be able to read the entire article, not just an abstract. You never, ever use the abstract for research. Research, it must be a research article. So we want to have references, methodology section, blah, blah, blah. All right. Then I want you to collect the citation elements. Read this piece, the basic principles of reference list entries. I'm going to have this every week, and I hope you read it every other week, or when I indicate you should. You're collecting authors. They could be plural. You're collecting publication dates. If it's March 12th, 2020, I want all that. If it's just 2020, that's good enough. You're going to collect the title. You're going to find the journal name, the full journal name, not an abbreviation, the full journal name. You can't figure out, it might be, because AMA, if you're using instead of APA, which is the American Psychological Association, and it's used widely in many disciplines. In this case, you're using PubMed, which uses the American Medical Association piece. So that's going to be different. They use abbreviations. How do you fix that? Oh, you use Google. I love Google. I will not put down Google in this class, but we have to recognize it has some limitations. Sorry about that. That was Ask a Librarian again. See how responsive I am? All right, so we were talking about create the document, thesis question, all these pieces, and I'll be right back. I serve an unusual role. You'll see me popping back because I'm still doing my full-time librarian job while teaching this course. So that makes me also extra available to you and also sometimes very busy. So let's get back to the thesis question. I want you to write something. It doesn't have to be perfect. It should include COVID-19 and it needs to be a full and complete sentence. It should have other keywords and ideas. COVID-19, teaching, instruction, online stuff. I had a student do COVID-19 and music therapy. I will tell you it was not easy, but it was accomplished and it was done. There's so many things. It's affecting us everywhere. Dating, love, long distance relationships, family life, social issues, political issues, medical issues. It's all over the place. So there should be something about this that does make you want to research it. So this is where you start forming that idea. Now, when you find your article or as you write your thing, you're going to be using keywords. Now, we're going to be building this up because you're going to need 15 keywords, and we're going to break these keywords up into search strategies as we work towards the final product. But first of all, COVID-19 should absolutely be one of them. Alternate versions of it, coronavirus should be, and the things and the ideas you may have used. If I remember, I will show you another way to look for keywords. Hopefully as I look in PubMed. So you may be able to find some keywords from your work. Always use your research to find other research and other ideas. It's great. You just kind of find things, turn it, define, redefine, go back. Research is not a one and done. Absolutely not. It is over and over. And through each week, as you turn these in, you're like, oh my goodness, I'm kind of getting what she means. It's over and over. We tighten up, we correct it, and we turn on towards the most perfect piece that has great research that you've attributed and you've presented in a form that makes sense. Now, we're going to go to PubMed, and I'm going to show you how to use it. I'm going to make sure I link this for you. And we're going to find a scholarly article. I'm going to show you how to find full text and all that. You're going to identify all of these objects. We're going to make sure that you put your citation elements in APA style 7th edition order. Well, my example has an exact way that you do that. And I think I've gone over it 2 times now, but I've linked you to a place to find it. This is APA Style Blog. Well, certainly when you're moving on, make sure you get an APA 7th edition style book. They're helpful. You'll never regret buying it, and you put sticky notes all over it, because APA is just not a citation documentation style. It's also writing. Like if you use the word 10, do you put 1 O or do you spell it out? How you deal with people, authority, about issues, about ethics. It's really a huge thing. But I'm kind of snipping off the pieces that may be most useful for you, and you're going to add to your knowledge as you go. Also, this exercise of looking at the elements, it doesn't matter which ones you're doing. You could be doing MLA, APA, AMA, American Sociology Association has ASA. There's Chicago Turabians, but they all have the same thing. But they italicize it, they put it in bold, they put commas, they put all periods, they use semicolons. It's just all different. But I want you to understand the format. If you have your author, publication date, title, journal name, volume number, issue numbers, DOI, and other pieces, you can put them in whatever order somebody wants you to. There are definitely places that can build your citation builders, but if you don't know what the mistake is, you don't know if it's right. They're not going to correct your title. They're not going to tell you need a beginning and ending page number. They may not tell you that you need to italicize that volume number. So if you know these things, you can use those easier tools better. Also, when you go in the databases that have actual images or suggestions of citations, you can fix them, because guess what, my friends? They're wrong. In the databases, the suggestion for the citation is wrong, generally speaking. So you're going to need to know what that means. Sometimes you just need to fix the title and fix the URL. It can be quite simple. And sometimes it's a total mess. If you see something in all capitals, for instance, unless it's an acronym, I don't believe there is a citation or documentation style that uses all capitals. Immediately, you should know I need to make those small letters. It's just not done. So, essentially what you're doing is taking information that's all over the place and putting it in an order that people can read quickly. And it matches up, because the references will match up with your in-text citations. And as I go along and repeat this over and over, you'll understand what I mean. So finally, I need you to do the annotation, which is 2 substantive sentences about the article you have found. Explain to me how it fits your topic. And we're going to work on how to make it substantive. Because sometimes, especially when you don't understand it, you're about to find a medical article most of you are going to find unreadable. But this is the secret to the whole thing. The more that you read scholarly articles or scientific things or things that you don't quite understand, the more that you actually begin to understand them. It's a process. So I'm just starting you out with a small annotation, but we're going to work up to 100 to 300 words. And you know what? You're going to feel confident about each and every word. I promise you that. And also, as we write them, if you follow my lead, you'll find out you're not running into plagiarism issue. Like, incidentally, when you learn how to evaluate and look at and take apart this information, you're not copy pasting. you're writing, you're summarizing, you're paraphrasing, and you're going to be able to use things ethically, confidently, and sometimes joyfully. So I hope that excited you, because now we're about to go into PubMed, and I will make sure I link that up for you. This is PubMed. It is a accumulation of many medical articles. Some are full text, some are not. Many of them are scholarly. Some may be a little bit trite. Some may be like clinical type pieces that are very brief. But you're going to come here and do your search. As you may have noticed, my search is COVID-19 and healthcare literacy. I'm not going to do anything fancy at this point. I'm just going to put healthcare literacy. And this is going to be the first thing I do after that. Select free full text and full text. I want to make sure that you find a full text article. If this gets kicked back to you to redo, it may be that issue. I absolutely want you to use PubMed and not Google. It's certainly, you might be able to find these in different ways, but I want all of you to understand, at least on a light level, how to use PubMed, because it may overlap with many different types of things you're doing. And if for some reason you find out you don't have access to the subscription databases like we have, you'll have a place that you can come search for free. And it just has a lot of utility. If you're going into nursing, this is going to be one of the things you primarily use. There's a way that different organizations can link to full text, which is on my to-do list, but for today, select full text and free full text, and you'll be ready to go. These are the different types of items you can select. You can go ahead and choose a systematic review, randomized control, trial, meta-analysis if you'd like to do so, because that will definitely get you where you want to go. Because I want a research article. I see this has multiple authors. This has just has one name, so it may mean it just doesn't have page numbers, and as a DOI number, so it's very likely a scholarly article that I need for this particular thing. Do you see this cite piece right here? I'm just going to go ahead and pop it up. See all these different citation styles. I chose APA, which we're using, and to some degree this is somewhat correct. So in some cases you can copy and paste these, but just make sure you fix them. Actually the journal, the capitalization is wrong, and also the capitalization is wrong in the title. You would have to fix those, and we'd have to look at that a little bit closer, but it looks kind of good. It even has the volume number italicized. Yeah, that's how you know it's a volume number. Can you tell yet? Have I repeated myself enough yet? You can sort of see what this is. Now, failing that, you have all this information. You have a DOI number, you have the name of the journal, you have the date, you have the volume number, issue number, page number. We don't have an ending page number. We're not going to use it. We have another copy of the DOI here. We have this, but we don't have full text. So go over here and select full text, because I want you to see the whole thing. You can't write an annotation or understand if something fits unless you've seen the whole thing. Now, fear of COVID-19 scale, healthcare literacy, interesting. Let's see what this is. We have the abstract, supplementary materials, and view full text. So we've had to go a couple ways in to kind of get to the full piece. Do you notice here how this has who the authors are connected with? That's really important in terms of authority and understanding who's doing the work. Okay, we have an abstract, we have an introduction, we have methods. People, we have a scholarly research article that we could use for our piece. So from here, you would take the citation information that you need. You could certainly take it from the Cite button if you'd like to do so. But this would give you all the pieces you need. Now, you're going to have this, and even though I've told you not to use the abbreviated, you're going to go, what is this? So let me show you what this is. In AMA, a medical American Medical Association citation style. That's how you deal with it. And if you're in medicine, eventually you probably Internal Journal of Environmental Residential Public Health. I don't really know, but this is how you find it. You find it with Google. You go put your piece in. And we'll move over, but right here we have it, the International Journal of Environmental Research and Public Health. It is capitalized correctly for your using pleasure. So that's how you fix that. As to keywords, oftentimes you will find that they are provided in the article or in the databases. These are sometimes produced by the periodical, the journal that is, or the authors themselves. So to find your 3 keywords or your 15, look through these and see which ones fit your topic and add those to your keyword list. Go ahead and pick a few of them and you can hold them back. You just need to put 3 in this week, but eventually you'll need to have 15. But this is one of the places you can get it. I want to show you another way to get it too. And it has to do with the introduction. You're going to try to probably figure out why I wanted you to do a word map. This is why. Remember how I had to just do a word cloud of your long title for your work and the introduction? Here I took the actual article. It doesn't always use all the words. I don't use the references, but sometimes you can come here and what it'll do is the words that are used most are the words that are larger, so that you can go through and pick out keywords from here. Literacy, fear, students in this case, pandemic if I hadn't included. Study is also a legitimate keyword issue. Higher, sometimes that comes into play with higher education. I'm not sure how it fit in this article. Medical, it seems like a no-brainer, but sometimes it's actually a very useful word. I guess I'm not sure what the entire piece, if in Vietnam, fear of COVID has made students drink more or something like that. But here, I can use something simple and free to kind of suss out some keywords and be able to start using those immediately. And this will work for almost anything you do. I also would advocate if you're doing a lot of writing and you finish a paper, do this and you'll see how many times you've overused a word, and then you can go in and change it out. And that's just using that little word out piece, wordedout.com, that we used in the introduction. I know this was long. These are going to get shorter. Okay. And the assignments might get longer as we go along, but this is about 30 minutes. And I apologize. And I know I had to repeat some parts and go over it very slowly, but this is the process. If I've confused you, if I've alarmed you, if I've created fear, reach out to me. I'd love to talk to you. I could talk about APA all day. I don't think you want me to, but I could. Thank you. Reach out to me if you need me.